Hello, welcome back to Sound Design for Relaxation, Meditation, and Sleep. I am your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. In this series, we basically going along showing behind the scenes what's being done with the sound experiments for relaxation, meditation, and sleep. The different elements involved, so that way listeners can kind of see what I'm doing to make the different elements they hear in these sound experiments, and they can interact with me and give me feedback about what's working for them, maybe what's not, how long different methods are utilized, and how that works in the overall time length of the session, those sorts of things. But it's also for people who are interested in sound design and maybe making some nature sounds for their own purposes. Basically, I do everything using synthesis, and I do everything in VCV Rack, which is free software for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So anyone could really do this with the knowledge, and so I'm sharing that knowledge here. In this episode specifically, I'm going to be doing here in episode 15 basically the live mixing setup that I'm going to use for the sound experiment number 17. The numbers for the two different series don't necessarily line up. You got to read the titles and see what's in them, and so forth. So I won't be going over making all of these sounds because I have in the past. I will, give you a bit of an overview as we put this together. But if you need more details, I will recommend, going back to some previous episodes, and I'll tell you, maybe not the exact number because I don't have them all memorized, but at least, whether it was an earlier one or like most of these are going to be the most recent edition of these following sounds: ocean waves, light rain, binaural beating, although I'm using 3 special frequencies in this one that I will point out. But the mechanism for doing so is not a new one. My most recent episode on binaural beating does show how to build that, but I will be showing you which 3 frequencies that I will be using in this session. Also, let's see, synth ASMR prickles will be involved. Basically, it's everything that I could fit together for the experiences I've been making lately. The most recent one, sound experiment number 16, is a 1-hour session that involves all of these elements, but there are some improvements I believe that I will be making to that. And basically, when I record these sound experiments, I do it recording it in real time where I am mixing on the fly. So I will be showing how I implement that. I have a controller keyboard here with some sliders on it. And those sliders really help me to be more gradual in the mixing, and it gives you a tactile response, so you're almost feeling what you're doing, and I really like that. So I guess without further ado, we're going to get to that, but I will say the following episode I'm going to be recording right after this one. That's number 16. That's where I'm going to be introducing the instrument that I've been using lately to play some ambient music, some melodies, some harmonies to help enhance the experience. And that instrument is one I created in VCV Rack. I call the didgeridoo, or didgeridoo. Don't forget the L. It's kind of like a combination of didgeridoo and Tibetan singing bowl, kind of, that I find really kind of feels and sounds magical. So I will be showing how I make that in number 16, which is after this one. I think setting up this whole live mix of these different sound elements will probably take up enough time to be one episode, and so I'll be recording the didgeridoo as the next one. All leading up to sound experiment number 17, a lot of numbers here, number 17, that will be coming out this Sunday. But in all the titles, I abbreviate the series title, and sometimes I just use the number They're all kept in the playlists in order, so you can basically see which sound experiment you would like to experience for an hour or 2 hours. And then in this sound design series, you can see the names of the different elements that are in them and line them up with the experiment so you know which different elements are in which ones. I use the same names for both. YouTube does have a character limit on the title, so I have to abbreviate a little bit, but I make things as clear as I can and most responsive for people being able to find it when searching on YouTube. Okay, so I guess let's get to making the patch that I will be using this Sunday. And so without further ado, we're going to do that. Okay, so I felt it would be best to start off with just my mix setup here, ready to go. I save these as patches that I can load up anytime I'm building something. And I know I'll be using all 16 channels of the Mind Meld mixer here. Here's its aux extension to send out aux sends to two effects. I'm using Surge XT, the Reverb 2 module. All of these modules are free modules that I'll be using in this overall design, so you can check them out. And then the presets that I'm using here, I think I did tweak them a little bit, but they are largely, now that's Echo, and Amazing Big Hall is the second one. Here's an MSC Hack compressor on the way out that takes the master out from the mixer. And I actually have it here in case I want to add compression. But, you know, to start, I basically have it set that it's not really doing anything. So I use it if I feel it's needed. Over here is the parametric EQ. So I can equalize any of the 16 channels, any of the 4 groups, and any of the 4 aux sends. So I can do any of them from here by selecting which channels I want to do, or which sends I want to do, which groups I want to do, so forth. And that's why I also have 3 Squinky Lab compressors here. These are 8-channel compressors that can handle 16 data streams, which means that any of these 8 channels can be a mono or stereo. So it's beautiful when using that with the 16-channel mixer here, because some channels you might have a stereo coming in left and right, and some you might have a mono. But whatever the number is here ends up being lining up with 1 through 8 over here. So channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, doesn't matter if they're stereo, mono, or whatever. This will adjust to it, basically. And you could be compressing either the mono signal or the stereo signal, and the numbers here line up. When you get to here, if this is 9 through 16, you just really treat it as 1 through 8 again, since it's a separate module. And then here you have the group outs first, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have the aux sends A, B, C, D, which would be 5, 6, 7, 8 here. So basically it works great in line with the parametric EQ. Basically the insert outs are going into the compressors first, and then going into the parametric EQ, and then out from the parametric EQ into the returns here for channels 1 through 8, 9 through 16, and then the groups and auxes, which I am, okay, yeah, right here, 1 through 8, 9 through 16, groups and auxes, and here's the sends correspondingly. And over here, here's the outs for the aux sends and the returns for the aux sends here. So, yeah, and they go to just two effects right now. So A and B are used, but C and D are not. Now, the first thing I'm going to add is the MIDI to CC. Let me make sure I got the MIDI to CC. Yep. So what this does, the VCV rack MIDI to CC means that basically whatever controller signals are coming in here as continuous controller messages from a MIDI controller, then or a DAW, but I'm not using this as a VST plugin right now. This is standalone. And then here comes the CV outs that you could hook up to things. I'll be using this a lot, and I might as well set it for my controllers right now. And actually looking at it, this is not the MIDI to CC, this is MIDI to gate. Excuse me. Those are basically for individual keys on the keyboard that go to basically gates that you can open envelopes with. Great for drums and that sort of thing. But here, I want to use sliders on my Novation Launch Key Mark III to control things. And I'll be using all 9 of the sliders. Yes, it has 9, not just 8, as one might expect. So I just touch here and move the slider on the keyboard, and it gets its controller number from that. And so that way it's set. There's 8, and finally, wait a minute. Sorry here. Let me check that I got those right. 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77. Yeah, I missed. That's saying 77. Let's try this over again. We start at 71. That's 1 slider, 2 slider, 3 slider, 4, 5 slider, 6 slider, 7 slider, more. And then here's the 9th slider. It threw me off because the slider was raised and I missed it. I'm just grabbing here while I'm looking at the screen. Okay, so there we go. But as you can see, if you get something wrong, you can fix it real easily. And I will be cabling these up to be able to mix in and out certain things. Not every aspect of it, but there's some things that I will want to be fading in and out. Now, I'm going to be loading up these different things as selections. I saved selections out so that I could mix and match different elements that I make for the overall series. Trying to hit that file. And basically, what you can do here is when you save them out from Edit menu, if you want to save different selections to be loaded into other patches, you basically right-click, hold down Shift, or no, it's left-click. Hold down Shift, left-click. You could select multiple modules, and you could go to the Edit menu and go to Save Selection As, which is right here. And there is a Selections folder within the overall VCV Rack user folder. And there you can save them to the names that you want, and then go here, Import Selection. And what we have here, I'm going to start with the ocean waves right here. Now, if you want to know more about ocean wave sound design, I do have that in this series. Now, since I didn't clearly tap where I wanted to go, it found the nearest place it could fit it. Okay, I'll give a quickie here, but I do have, if you look in the playlist, and this whole series is in the playlist, so you can look at the titles. If you look at the most recent one about ocean waves, that would be this. But if you really want to get into ocean wave sound design, you could look at all of them, because I've kind of changed and morphed them over the course of this series, just out of my own interest. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, just so we don't get too loud, I'm going to put these faders down. What we have here are 3 VCOs surrounded by LFOs. Here's 2 LFOs to the left of this VCO. This VCO is it's going to be panned to a certain degree, but it's mostly the left side of the wave sounds. Like if you're standing there looking at a beach, this would sound mostly to the left. And these 2 LFOs basically take the VCF here, and I was saying VCO before, excuse me, it's VCF. The carrier signal is coming from violet noise. So violet noise is going into the VCF, and we'll be hearing it in a moment. And then the VCF is sending it out to the channel here. These 2 LFOs raise and lower the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter that I'm using here. And so that way you kind of hear the frequencies rise, and with violet noise it really sounds like tide coming in and tide going out. The reason why I have 2 LFOs being used is because I have one here that's set to about 0.07 cycles per second to make it a slow wave, and then this one is set to 0.043, I believe, cycles per second, and its output is going to modulate just slightly the one that's controlling the speed of the waves. So that way the waves don't sound regular, kind of like metronomic. They sound a little bit more natural. Excuse me, I needed to cough there a moment. And then we have 2 more LFOs for this VCF, which is the other side, and then 2 LFOs for this VCF. Well, there's a middle and then a right side. And what I'm going to do is hook these up now so you can hear it. Well, it's hooked up. I just need to turn up the fader. Now it's sounding centered, but what I also use, let me lower it a bit so it doesn't make me talk louder than I should. I also use the output from here. I'm going to use a triangle output that gives me kind of a linear rise and fall, and that's going to control. Now notice I'm using the slower one, the one that varies the rate of the rise and fall. So that way this that I'm hooking up, which is pan, oh, it's already hooked up, is not going to basically be in lock sync. And in fact, where is this pan input hooked up to? It's hooked up to this LFO here. Okay, these 2 LFOs control the rate of the rise and fall here. This LFO, these 2 LFOs do the same thing, a varying pair to control this, which is the pan for this side. Interesting. It's been a while since I've done this, so I forget what I've done in some ways. Okay, and then we have a pan coming from these 2 oscillators. Once again, one LFO varying the other to do the pan of another side. So anyway, let's hook this up. Basically, what I do is take the yellow cable here. I use yellow for CD values. Let's have it control the pan of this side. Now I want to make sure I'm doing the right one here, because I certainly wasn't expecting that oscillator. Here, this is coming from Blue Noise. Okay, I organized the order differently. This Blue Noise is meant to be the centered one. Basically, this is meant to be the center of the waves. So this one doesn't get panned. I changed the order of these modules and got to remember what I'm doing. Okay, so since it's channel 1, I'm going to make sure we're on channel 1 here, and we are by default, but this is in case you need to know how you change the channel number. Just right-click on here, go to 1, which it's already at, turn off bypass, important thing to do. And what I'm going to do is kind of compress the dynamic range of this wave a little bit, because as you see, it's a pretty quiet Blue Noise wave there. And I'm just basically going to try to lift it up a bit. Closer to the center line there. Okay, let's turn this down. All right, now what we're going to do is take the next VCF that we have that is once again being varied. What I like to use is the values 0.034 and 0.043 for the varying oscillators, just to keep things a little bit out of line. I don't want things to sound exactly lining up, especially with the panning and the other stuff. So this is a panned one. So this is a violet noise VCF. So it's sending out violet noise that will go here, and this will then be a left side wave sound. Nope, I used yellow for this. There we go. Now this is violet noise, so we'll be able to look at the difference. If we change this to 2 and raise the fader. Now what I can do is group these, because I'm going to put the waves in one group. So if I go down here, hit the plus sign, I'm going to have 3 channels of ocean waves. And you see the panning is happening here. I'm using the attenuator here from Befaco. So basically, as this oscillator, the triangle out, rises and falls, it keeps it within these parameters here. So it pans to the left a bit, between center and left. But I need to mix these things, so I'm going to do that. This is the group I'm going to use, group 1, which I just set up. And now I'm going to take its volume here. I'm going to use green for this, because really we're setting up kind of a gate based on a slider. So now on my controller keyboard, I could take group 1, raise it up, lower it, and that's convenient for me now while I'm talking about this, because we need to balance levels here a little bit. I'm going to set up what would be a mix level for these waveforms here, but since I have master control over them in group 1, I can turn them down if they get a little too loud. So we want to go to channel 2. You see a violet noise is pretty quiet, especially in the lower end of the spectrum. The VCF is oscillating it up and down in frequency, the cutoff at least. And so that's why you hear it come in and out like that. But we probably should compress it a little bit, and I'm going to do the same thing where I want it to rise to the center line here. Just like with the blue noise, that's the center part of the wave sound. Let's put it about there. So let's see. Now I'm going to wait for it to rise up in cutoff frequency. Okay, good, because that's where the majority of the strength of a violet noise is in the higher frequency area. That's why it's good for, you know, the tide coming in, that higher frequency, bubbly, sudsy sound. Okay, and let's hook up our right channel violet wave sound. That would be here, and it's once again got these pair of LFOs varying the oscillation rate of the VCF, and so I like to use yellow for these, so let's do it. There we go. Let's initialize this channel 3. And as you see, the panning instructions are going, and these two are not exactly in sync. I don't want them that way. It sounds a little bit more natural if they are not. Otherwise, the ocean waves sound too metronomic. Now, here I need to put this on 3 so we can visualize the compression makeup gain here. Right about there. Now I'm feeling where my slider's at. It's about like 2/3 of the way up. Let's look at our overall master out. Where does it rise to? Okay. There may be more adjustments to make, especially in its level on the mixer here. I think I'm good as far as the compression and getting everything up to just tapping the center line with some of the spikes there. And what I'm going to do is add the next sound, which is rain. I often describe it as light rain. And no, it is not a module. It's a selection. So, oh boy, me. Let's go over here and import selection. This is Rain 2. If you look at the playlist, I have 2 different versions of Rain. One was earlier, one was later. This is the later of the 2. So, you're more than welcome to check those episodes out. If you're interested in the sound design of Rain, you might want to check out both. They do have different qualities. I've decided on the second one for these experiences. It tends to be a little bit lighter. And so what I have here is the different elements of the rain separated by blank panels. I just put in another one to separate it from the ocean waves. But basically, these, think of this as a triplet here, ending in the Surge XT filter. These are the are generating the sound of like the distant rain, kind of like a sheet of a rainfall. These are like droplets in lower frequencies, and these are higher frequency droplets. You'll see how they come together in just a moment. Let me prepare the channels. First of all, I'm going to put them on group 2, and I want to control the levels of that group here. That way they have their own submix. I'm mixing together here the loudness of the kind of like the distant rain coming down, along with the droplets and so forth. So let's put these on 2. Now these are 3 pairs. There we go. And I do put these in, you know, come to think of it, I am not doing any panning of these per se in controller form, but I do like to be able to set the width of their pan using the pan knobs here. If I were to plug them in stereo left, right, yeah, you'd hear them stereo, but you wouldn't be able to kind of like place them as well. And so I'm going to be placing them, and in that case, yeah, I accidentally changed that to 2. These 3 are the ocean waves, and these 6, there we go, 6 are the rain. So I'm going to take audio cables from here, and here is the first rain out right here from the filter. Since I'm using these as mono filters for the left and right sides, I'm taking the signal out of the left outlet, you know, left mono for each of the filters. All right, and so I have the slider down for 2. Let's pan these apart. I think I'm going to put them like this. I want the waves to be wider. And let me see about where their pan goes. Yeah, they are panning just a little bit outside of this. Now, incidentally, in all of these sounds so far, I have not used the reverb yet. The reverb really does help the sounds. But since I kind of know where I'm going with this, I'm not adding it just yet. I want to mix the dry elements first and then make adjustments after we add the reverb. Now here's the droplets coming in. Let me just turn this down in case they're a little too loud. There we go. They're not loud at all, but I want to be kind to the ears. There we go. There's our droplets. Now let's find a good spread for them. I'm going to make them a little bit more narrow. Now, I should look at all these too. Let's look at channels 4 and 5. Yeah, they're rising to the center line. And this is where you would make a decision as to whether you wanted a little bit more high frequency or not. But I have high frequency droplets coming. So I'm going to stick with this, but I can see I don't need to do any compression. The variation here in amplitude of the different parts of the noise here that I'm using. This noise, this is what helps make it sound more realistic, having that variation. And if I compress it too much, it'll just sound more and more like synthesized noise and less like a soft rain. This being Rain 2 is the more recent of the Rain sound design episodes in the series. If you want to check them out in detail, I build the whole thing with you so you can follow along. Alrighty, let's see here. We're going to add the higher frequency droplets. There we go. Channel 9 sounds about right. There we go. Now I'm going to spread these out wide. At least from before, I liked that pattern. Now I am going to look at those. I can hear the droplets clear. I don't think they need any compression and boosting. But let's go to channels 8 here and 8 here and look at the left side of the, yeah, it's a bit quiet. I need to turn off the bypass, because right now they're buried in the other sound. There we go. I just heard them coming in there on the left side. These episodes are best heard on headphones or good speakers. So let's think of it as a a 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on these two dials, because the next one here, channel 9, would be channel 1 of this compressor. Oh, there we go. That's beautiful. Now, I could also do some more mixing here, but these needed to kind of at least come up closer to the levels of the others. In fact, I might be able to back off on these a little bit. Let's do that. Let's put them at 9 o'clock here. Yeah, keep them consistent. And then mix here. All right, here's our distant rain, like the sheets of rain. Bring that down. These droplets are a little bit maybe too prominent. Put them down there. And now these stand out just right, at least in my opinion. So let's try a little bit of the aux send. Now my slider was turned down for this. Sorry, didn't want to, I just wanted to turn it up enough. Turn it up all the way so that I could see that if I have it all the way up, it's not clipping in and of itself. Of course, you got to watch the signal indicators while I'm live mixing. Or you don't have to, I have to. Let's turn up group 2's send. I like to start somewhere around here. And then what I do is sometimes throughout the experience, I will fluctuate it a bit. For a heavier or lighter downfall. Now let me check on something here. We have aux CDs here for controlling A, 1 through 16. And then let me see here, A through D groups. So that would mean probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would be 5 on that. I would need to put the expansion panel on if I wanted to like have knob control over this. I haven't had to do that yet because I also have like 8 knobs that I can use here for controlling things. I haven't had to do that yet. I've been able to just do the mouse thing and it hasn't, spoiled my flow, but it is an option. There, I turned down the group slider, and since the aux end is post fader, which is the default setting on the MindMeld mixer, it basically all goes away. So this slider I have, see, I can glide my fingers real slow on the slider, much better than I can with a mouse, and get slow fade ins. It's great. Okay, and so group 1 needs to be sent as well. Now, the waves, I do want them to sound nice and wide, so I am going to turn them up. There we go. 75%. Now let's mix in the rain. I have the slider about 80% of the way up. Let's mix in the rain. There we go. Now, if I want the ocean to sound a little more distant and the rain to be closer, I can do this. It doesn't change drastically throughout because I do not want the person to feel like they're being moved around necessarily. Although I do have some moments where I do things a little differently, which I'll be showing you in a moment. So yeah, just by my feel. I mean, you don't see me here doing it, but just by my feel, I can basically feel and hear where I want things to be. I'm really liking it. What I should probably do now, go up here, file. Oh, I can save this. I set a file name for it that's appropriate. Okay, good. Now, the next stuff are going to be a bunch of individual elements that are part of the scene, so to speak. And I'm going to put them here. Just tap there, so hopefully it'll pop the selection there. Import selection. No. Sorry, I need to zoom in here to see this better. Pardon my vision. Import selection. Here we go. Let's look at soft noise is going to be first. This is part of a bit of a scene that I like to do after the beginnings with the ocean waves and the rain, where the ambience really kind of gets you in to the state. And then I use the binaural beating and soft noise. So I'm going to put the soft noise here. And its volume as an individual channel is going to be controlled by my third slider. So that way, when I have the ocean waves and rain going, I gradually shift them into a different scene with the soft noise. Not like that. It's much more gradual. But eventually, the waves and all the movement kind of collapses down a bit, and we hear this soft noise like this that makes the person feel a little bit more contained, a little bit warmer. I am going to check its signal. This is on channel 10. Yeah, we're tapping that area, but I'd like to flatten out a bit the frequency response. So we're going to go here to channel 2, which corresponds to channel 10 on the mixer, and then it makes it sound a little bit more airy and fluffy because we're bringing up some more of the, more than just this band here that was naturally emphasized by the sound itself. Now this one is going to be group 3. And there's going to be other sounds sharing this group. Group 3 is going to have this effect here, Amazing Big Haul, which is send 2. So here's the group 3, or yeah, the group 3 send on B. Somewhere like that. So, you know, it gradually gets to this state where you have this soft, cloudy noise around you and the ocean's in the distance. And probably I would have a little bit more light rain there. And then this is the portion where I also bring in the binaural beats. So let me put a blank panel in. I like to separate things that I keep on the same, you know, different elements that I keep on the same level here. Yeah, now we're going to need to load in. Binaural beats. This is going to be the Magic 3 module. Now, the construction of these modulating binaural beats. Take that out so I can talk better. The construction of these modulating form of the binaural beats with filtering so that they do have a harmonic spectra to them is explained in the most recent episode on binaural beats. So I do go into the design of this right from scratch so you can see how this is designed. Although the difference is there I'm showing 7 frequencies that I'm using. They have some harmonic relationships with one another. Here I decided just to use 3 of the 7. This is basically a 4 hertz delta wave pulse created by the fact that this oscillator is 106 hertz and this one is 110 hertz, basically centering around 108 hertz as a frequency. 4 times that is a 432 hertz frequency here. But for the binaural beating, this is 430 hertz, this one's 434. And then here I'm using 768 hertz from a dream I had. I do describe this in a previous episode, how that came about. But this one is 766 hertz. This one is 770 hertz. So the center frequency is 768. But basically you get a 4-pulse binaural beat from all of these. And we're coming out of the filter because they are being modulated by the filter. This will also be part of group 3 with the soft noise. And these I do hook up as stereo channels since the binaural beat stuff isn't panned. It's just left and right. Now hold on here. Just a minute here. Yeah, I see. Oh yeah, that's supposed to be like that. Channel 10 does have that noise hooked up to it. And since I have a slider that individually controls its level, we don't see signal on it like the others where they're controlled by group level. That just caught me out for a second there. All right, here we go, 108 hertz. Actually, this sounds a little high. I think I hooked up a 432 first. Yes, I did. So let me also hook up some cables here. Let me disconnect these. I should have done this first. All right, the individual volume control there for channel 10 is for the soft noise. Let's hook up 108 hertz volume control here to basically my 4th slider. Right there. So now I should be able to hook this up and we won't hear it until I move the slider up. And we hook up both the left and right channels. Since binaural beats are certainly a left ear, right ear thing. Now that's 108 hertz. Now what I'd like to do, because there is a bit of amplitude change with the modulation, this one I have modulating only so far because I don't want it to be reaching up into the area of the others as much, the other frequencies. But let me do that. Hitting the mod button and adjusting this blue indicator range that the frequency can go to. No, actually I liked it better when it went up higher. More parity. Good. But let us compress it a little bit. I'm going to go here. This is on channel 11, which is 3 over here. Basically, the fundamental I think I'll do a light compression on it. We want the fundamental to still be a fundamental. but it drops off when the other harmonics come up. And I'd like to basically have it not drop off as much. Let's see if we can do that. I think I can also take the center of this, move it down a little bit. So yeah, good. Okay, good. Only at the far end do we feel it drop off, but it's still kind of there. In any case, I like it. That's slider 4. Now, slider 5, let's see, which is channel 12. It's going to be hooked up right there. So now we shouldn't hear it when we hook this up. Channel 12 is going to be A432. Right here. Let's bring it up. I'm going to look at its oscillation here. Yeah, I think it's giving me enough of A432 in harmonics. What would this be here? 4? Yeah. Because we're on channel 12, right? But I'm going to compress it. And look at the parametric EQ on the left. Now let's bring it and 108 hertz to the same level here with the sliders. Ooh. Bit of a distortion pattern together. Now I'm used to, as I'm doing right now, having A432 lower in level than on the sliders than I have, 108 hertz. Because it is going to be perceived by our ears as louder naturally anyway. That good old Fletcher-Munson curve. Well, let's go to channel 13 here, and no, we don't want to hook up the audio first. Hook up the volume control first. So this is now slider number 6. And it's going to be you. And so let's go over here, channel 13, slider 6. But actually, there's something I'm hearing there. I think it has to do with the resonance here. maybe getting too narrow. So I'm going to spread it there. That's being varied also here. I mean, I still hear it on the right side. But I'm hearing a lot of beautiful stuff too that maybe it's not quite modulating up high enough. And it is certainly going below A432. Like there it got dull because it went below A432. Let me make sure I am on the right one here. Yeah, I am. Okay, so that's better. I don't want it going below the fundamental where you're getting nothing. Okay. I'm digging those. But let me lower them. Yeah, they're 768 ready to go. Let's make sure its range is right. Going down a little too low. The fundamental doesn't ever disappear. But I want to make sure we can get some of those upper harmonics, because this is the one that's providing us the higher harmonics of all of them. Oh yeah, that's pretty. There we go. And then what we can do is go down here. This is channel 13, I believe. So we're on 5. Yep. There we go. Now let's hear the 3 together. And this gives me the ability to mix them on the fly. And these are already as part of group 3 going to the big hall. I don't want to mess them up too much with effect, because that would keep them from being as effective with the yeah, I was just noticing they're not going there because I didn't set them yet. There we go. I don't want the effect of the binaural beating to be thrown off by effects, too much effect. I want the harmonics because I find them to be useful. Here's the soft noise. A little bit of rain and ocean. Now what I'm going to do, since I changed these, I am going to save them out as this Magic 3 of binaural beats again. What did I just do? Undo. See, that's what happens when I don't zoom in and actually really be sure of what I'm doing. Alright, so let's do it. Save selection as binaural beats Magic 3 modulated. There we go. Because I like these settings better that I've just done. Okay, now I've got a slider number 8 that's still vacant. I actually do have a slider number 9, but that's going to be the next episode, the didgeridoo. So, slider number 8 is going to get hooked up right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6. Yeah, and the 7. Oh, that's right. 7 and 8 are still available, and actually I am going to use both. The Synth ASMR prickles are going to be 2 different channels here. Channels 14 and 15, because I have a lower and a higher frequency region of these prickles that mesh together, and I'd like to be able to balance them a little bit. What I can do, I'm going to add them to this level because they're also part of group 3. Put in a blank. Oops. Tap here. Go to File. Import selection. And we are looking at Synth ASMR prickles. Now, I do have an episode where I go into detail about this construction here. So that would be Synth ASMR prickles, or basically it's the only Synth ASMR approach that I've used thus far in the series. So it should be easy to find that episode in the playlist for sound design, for relaxation, meditation, and sleep. Now let me make sure I am hooking up the right channels here. Yeah. This is the one right here, right? Yep. It's hooked up to 14. And then there's a left and right channel to this. and a left and right channel to the higher stack. Oh, you know what? I bet I have these backwards. I seem to remember I had them backwards. Let's do this. Let's hear the ones I just hooked up. Yep, that's the lower stack. And yeah, I do want it to the left and then the higher stack to the right. Although this is on group 3 with the binaural beats and the soft noise, because they come in basically the same scene. Now let's do left and right. As I'm hearing them, it looks like the effect could be a little bit louder. And I should turn up the send. Let's try and recreate that scene right now just to see. I mean, I can change sends on the fly a little bit, but I don't ever like to just call up one that's just wrong. Okay, here we go. Now let's mix these guys. No, this is the higher of the two. So, just to be anal, the higher of the two. I'm going to move to the left. No, the higher of the two is the one on the left here. And I'm going to move them, flip-flop them, so it's like going bottom up. That's usually how I organize things in my organization. Left to right, lower frequencies first. But I'm sensing I am going to want to make some of these frequencies a little bit higher. And then here, I need to switch them. Let's put you over here. Yeah, you're the lower pitched ones. You're the higher pitched. So let us balance this out now with the sliders. Lower. And then higher. No, that is the rate of bubbling, so to speak. So let's just hear the higher ones. Mix in the lower ones. I wonder if we should go higher than that. Yes. That's what I really wanted. And the lower ones are too low. So I'm going to be saving these again. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Edit, save selection as. And this will be Synth ASMR Prickles. Now, I know this has been going on for a while, and if you're still with me, you're dedicated. Please hit that like button. Leave a comment. It does help with the algorithm and being seen on YouTube and all that sort of thing. And I would really appreciate that help if you can at all give it to me. Here we go. Let's put this scene together. There we go. Now, I mix things in the order that they come. But basically, this is giving me a pretty good mix for when I get to this portion. It would probably be louder than that in the real thing. Keeping things low right now because we're doing a video. Take a snapshot of this for the thumbnail. There we go. That's pretty good. So now I'll be able to mix throughout. And I still have one fader left, fader number 9, that I will be able to use for the didgeridoo, which I will be making in the next video. Thank you for joining me. Once again, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out other episodes in the series if you're interested in sound design or VC rack or both. And leave a comment. Just say hello. Let me feel less lonely here. All right, folks. Until next time. Take care and I guess stay sleepy. All right. Bye.